Hi. So, I thought I'd do another one of these videos again because last time I did one about having a bad mental health day. Um, the response I got from it was insane. It was absolutely awesome, and the whole proviso of me doing it was just to kind of open up, and if it helped one person, that made it completely worth it to me. And from some of the responses I got, it did a lot more than that, and that really meant a lot to me. But it was more that, wow, this is having an effect on more people. So I thought I would do it again, um, because today I'm going to talk about what's happening this week. On Sunday, on the 10th of September, it was World National Suicide Prevention Day. So we are currently in Suicide Prevention Week. So I thought I'd talk about my experience with that, because I did once put myself in the position of trying to commit suicide. And I thought I'd open up about that and talk about that, just because if it helps people understand it more and feel like you can open up more, then great. So it happened about 4 or 5 years ago, and I went through a really bad state of depression. And a lot of people don't actually know this, and know that I kind of nearly tried to commit suicide. A lot of people, of like a very small handful of people, know this, and I've never talked about it because it's not one of those things. Hey, guess what? But I think this is a good platform to do it on. So I went through a very bad state. I had a car accident where I hit a 3-year-old boy. He ran out between two cars, hit my car. Yeah, it was fairly horrific, and I know people say it was a blur, but it's one of those things that happens in slow motion. You remember every sound and detail of what happened. I can to this day. So I went through that, and I got into a very, 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 very bad place. I got into severe depression. I had my workplace asking me if I was okay, and I did the thing. I was just a bit overwhelmed by it, and I couldn't open up. I didn't open up and talk about it because I didn't know how, and I didn't kind of know how to go about it, or I didn't feel I could. But I had my work asking me, they were concerned, and people were concerned, but I just didn't open up, and I continued spiraling and spiraling and spiraling until I got to the point one night where I was walking home, and I kept walking, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore. So I walked up to the top of the edge of a cliff, and I was sat there. The reason I am still here is because of a good friend of mine, David Lyons. I was sat there, and we were meant to be I was meant to come online, and we were meant to game that evening, but then I was on my way walking home. That obviously I kept walking, so he knew something wasn't right because I didn't answer calls, and he kept trying to call, and I ignored. I was just sat there on the edge of this cliff, and he kept calling until eventually I did answer. And I answered, and he said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm up on the edge of this cliff." He said, "Right, stay there, I'll be there in a second." And he walked to where I was and came and sat with me. And he sat with me, and we just sat there and looked, and it was an absolutely stunning view of Douglas, at night time in the lights. And he sat and talked to me, and I just kind of got it all off my chest. I burst into tears. Usual kind of drill, and I was so close to that point. And because of him, because of one person, and because I opened up to them, I didn't. And it's a very hard thing to do. Like, some of the statistics on suicide are absolutely horrendous. Like, in England and the UK, female suicide rates are at their highest in a decade. Male rates are consistently higher than females. They're 3 times higher, and that's just in the UK alone, which is horrifying. And I think it all comes back to this thing of, don't be afraid to talk to someone. If you are struggling, that isn't the way out. And it does annoy me sometimes when you hear people saying, I was like, you know, people almost feel berated for thinking suicide is an option. You know, saying, oh, it's a selfish way to do it. You know, when you're in that mindset, it's not a selfish thing. Because of where your head's at, and because you are so downtrodden and disheartened, you've spiraled into that area, you feel like it's the best option for you and for everyone else, because you feel like a burden, you feel like you can't deal with it anymore, and you feel like other people can't. If you can't deal with it anymore, how are other people going to deal with it? And it's a horrible situation to be in. But if you are in that situation, or if you feel like you can't, there are people to talk to. Talk to your friends, say, look, I'm really not in a good place. Or, you know, and as a friend as well, be switched on to where your friends are at. I was fortunate in the case of my friend knew something wasn't right, because he knows me, and you know, I owe him that, but also because he was just such a brilliant person at that time, and he understood his friend enough to turn around and go, shit, something's not right, I need to help him out. And a lot of people, I suppose, don't think this of me, and like, I'm not making this up, this is 100% true. I have been through this, it was horrible, and yes, there are people who have been in worse situations, and there are people who have been in better situations. It's all completely relative. But I think some of these rates are so high is because we're so caught up in this social media world now that we feel like we can't open up. We're too busy trying to depict how much fun we're having, when really we're actually quite scared or worried about what other people are thinking. We're too busy trying to get people to think great things of us, when really, you know, we're trying to create this facade. And like, don't be afraid of that. There's a few things that go around. It's like, you know, it's okay to not be okay. It's completely true. You're okay to not be okay, and you know, feel free to open up. You know, if someone judges you for that, if someone judges you for opening up, they're not worth having in your life, I guess, because at the end of the day, if you feel you're being trodden down by something, you really need to let that out, then that's what you need to do. And it's a horrible situation to be in. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And I know I have friends that struggle with it. I know I have friends that really struggle with anxiety, depression. You know, I think we all do in slight cases now as well. But that's why I think it's so important to talk when you're in that anxious or depressed stage, so you don't get to that suicide stage. But if you do, don't be afraid to talk to someone and tell someone, like, going, I really need you right now, I just need someone to cry at, or I just need someone to scream at. And, you know, and as a friend, please be that person that sits there and just, that you don't even have to say anything, and just remember, it's nothing personal. This person just needs to get it off their chest. They just need to get it off their chest. So yeah, that's a bit of my experience. Yeah, I was in that place. I nearly did it, but because of a friend, I didn't. And I've learnt from that now in my life. I still have bad days, as I mentioned in my last video, and as well, I'm not afraid that I haven't spoken about this openly before, really, because it's not one of those things, obviously, you talk about just in passing conversation, obviously, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm happy to openly talk about it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But stuff like this isn't a bad thing. Own it. It's what makes you you. It's what makes you brilliant. And it also, you know, everyone is great in their own way. They're great for their things that they're amazing at, and they're also great for their flaws. And we should own our flaws. And please own your flaws. I'm not perfect. I know I'm not. I am far from it. But if you told me where I am today, if you told me when I was at that stage, when I was on the edge of that cliff, that I would be here at this stage in my life now, I would not have believed you. But you have to believe in yourself and go for what you feel is right, I guess, and believe in yourself, even in the times when no one else believes in, where you feel like no one else believes you. And that's the other thing as well. Don't ever feel like no one doesn't believe in you. There are so many people that believe in you, and you will have people that doubt you no matter what, but you also have more people that know you can do it. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, that's, you know, I'm at a stage in my life now where I'm working harder than I ever have worked, but I'm also one of my happiest. And I've just had a breakup a couple of months ago, and that sucks. But I still feel great, and I'm going up in the world. In my world, to me, I am, and I'm happy with that. So please, if you are struggling, talk to someone. If you need to talk to someone about anything or anything like that, don't be afraid to talk about it. Be confident in yourself and get it off your chest. And if you want to ask me anything, or you ever need any advice on how to deal with something, or you don't know how about to deal with anything, talk to one of your friends or message me. I really don't mind. I'm not a guru or anything like that. I'm just a guy that wants to try and make a difference with what he's experienced, and just trying to show you that you can be open to, and own it. It's yours, and you can do whatever you want to. So yeah, I hope this has been opening, and yeah, think about this.